talk की होती है?
Yes.
Very good. तो हमको पता है. We do Sikh in spotlight, है ना? So we have in our presence a person who is under spotlight. Sikh in spotlight. So ये सारी खुशकिस्मती है कि आज वो थे इन्होंने टाइम काट के आए हैं. He is recognized by Forbes, big company actually, as a judge, entrepreneur, and as an official business mentor. So he helps Sikh youth, others also, but he has, along with Bhai Sahab Jatinder Singh ji, इन्होंने एक institution बनाया है, SikhEntrepreneur.com. If you want to go on to that. So ਜਿਹੜੇ Sikh ਬੱਚੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਅਗਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ business start ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ to help them. Also, we also try to bring up Sikh role models and इन्होंने again organization start की है SikhRoleModel.com. So there's a lot of positive things happening in the Sikh world, okay, and we should all be proud of being part of that. So मैं ज़्यादा time नहीं लेने में एक और मैं इन्ना के बारे में बोलता जमाते it will take me 20 minutes इन्ना time इन्होंने दे रहे हैं इन्ना तो क्या है इन्होंने he is an author also and he's writing a couple of books. The पहली book जो इन्होंने लिखी है Senegal's Method. It's about how to achieve your potential, how to achieve your best in life.
Okay, once again, if you don't mind, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Hope everyone's enjoying themselves already this morning. I've got a bit of sunlight, so I can't see a lot of faces, but that makes you can see me better. I'm going to deliver in English, if that's okay? Yeah, it makes life a bit easier. So, communication as a whole, how important is communication in our lives? Really, we've got to understand that we've got language as part of the communication. We've also got possible people that we meet. And then in business and in life as a whole, when you're studying, you have to communicate with your teacher, your best friends, your team friends. Does that make sense? When you come over here, you have to speak in a secondary way with different languages. For example, Sikhi, we have to speak Punjabi, we have to speak multi-facets of English as well. Does that make sense? So communication, would we agree that it's quite important in life? Yes? No? Yes? It's pretty important in life, right? Because if you can't communicate, then you're pretty stumped in life. You can't really manage to make good friends, communicate very well, and also unlock your inner potential. Does that make sense? Potential is what you're able to do. Every one of us in this room has an unlimited potential to do whatever they want in life. Is that fair? Yeah, you've all got vague ideas of what you want to do in life, I'm sure. Bit of a noisy bunch at the back there. No noise, no sound. Can you hear me perfectly okay? Good, good. Some nods will be good. Okay, so today I'm going to talk in specific about 3 key areas of communication, of how we connect and communicate with human beings as a whole. And I'm going to go through the information. We're going to play a bit of fun here. So maybe, I'm not sure, there's no paper and pens, but doesn't matter, we'll do it another way. I'll do it verbally, okay? So in communication, did you know that there's 3 clear ways, or what we call modalities, but 3 ways of communicating with human beings? Anybody want to have a go?
So one is by doing sign language.
Sign language, okay.
The other one is by speaking.
Speaking.
And I think the last one is eye contact.
Eye contact, lovely. So we'll write this down. So we'll call it sign language. I'll just call it sign for the moment, yeah? And the other one was speaking. And the other one was eye contact, was it not? Sorry, I've won the award for having spider handwriting. You okay with that one? Yeah. Can you all read spider? Good. Okay, so who had another hand up? Here. Did you have any other ideas? Acting? Yeah, so that's really good as well. So acting. So we'll pop that one up here. And one more? Body language. So this has to come over here, son. Okay, so body language, very interesting. So now, I'm going to add 2 more to the one on the right-hand side. Body language is one. Tonality is the second. And the third one is speaking, so it's language. So have a little bit of fun if it's okay. So this is number 1, number 2, and number 3. They don't have to be in that order. But if I said to you that each one of these, if I asked you for a percentage up to 100, yeah? So some of the older people here as well, I'm waiting for you to interact as well, so not just for the kids. So body language, tonality, and language as a whole. What percentage do you think, if all of this was to be added to 100? So remember this, you've got to add all these figures to 100. Can everybody see that screen? How much do you think is a percentage of body language?
So body language is probably
You have to tell me your name as well, because I can't hear. Sorry? Yavraj, go for it.
so body language is probably language is probably 40%.
40%?
If someone's talking to you looking the other way, they get angry at you.
Wow.
Yeah, and tonality is probably either the tone of your voice.
Yes, the tone of the voice.
If you're shouting at someone, they know you're angry at them. If you're whispering or like some little force in your voice, it's really sad. So that's probably 30%.
30%?
And language is also 30%.
Around 30 as well. So 30, 30, 40. Does that total 100, guys?
Yeah.
Good. So 30, 30, 40. I'm actually going to swap over with Yavraj. You're going to have to teach from now on because I'm going to sit down. Joking. So shall I give you the answer? Did you have a hand up as well? Or was it just covering your face for some other reason? Go for it.
I think body language is basically, I think 20% because
20?
speaking is like what most people do. So I think body language is a little bit past speaking.
Okay, so 20%, and then
I think tonality, the tone of the voice is also 20%.
20. So how much is left?
And then 60% for speaking.
60 for language. Are we good? Do you want to have one more person? Some noisy people here. Come on, elders. You're teaching as well now, aren't you? 25, 25, and 50. So we'll write that down here. 25, 25, and 50. Yep. Does it matter if you're right or wrong? Why not?
Because you're doing it all at the same time. So now I'm looking at you.
Yes.
You know I'm focusing towards you. My tone is normal, so I'm not angry, no side with you. And my language is English, so it's basically 100% at all times.
Well done. So, I wish I could take pictures of the children because I need to somewhere along the line. Okay, as I said, I'm about to resign and I'm about to leave the room now. Your bride's going to take over. So let me give you the real figures, okay? So it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong in life. It means that as long as you've had a go. Because true failure is not having a go. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, team? Yeah? We're a team here, yeah? So I'll do it both ways. So then we'll go there. Yeah, I was going to say, we can walk in now, can't I? So, first one, let me show you how this works. 55% is physiology. That means the physical look. How you're standing, how you're speaking is second and third. It's really about how you're standing. So if I stood here like this, do I look as though I'm a bit interested in talking to you? No? So what's happened in my physiology? All I've done is change my eyes, close them, look down a little bit, arch my back. Now you're not interested in what I've got to say because it looks as though I am not interested. Is that correct? Yeah? So if I stood there, let's say, for example, a bit better and a bit squarer, I stood there and I said to yourself, how does it look as though I'm speaking to you now? A little bit better? Yeah? Stop looking at my belly. The rest is okay. So now, tonality is 38%, and I'll give you the maths, all the mathematicians out there, 7%. Okay? So, did you see how little, I'm going to teach you a bit more about tonality in a minute, but did you see how little language actually is a part of communication? 7% is language. So that means if I choose to speak Punjabi, English, Spanish, would it be good to say that if I managed to understand that body language, and if you heard my voice there a second ago, tonality, Tonality, tonality. Or tone, tone. Can you see the same word has said so many times? Yeah? So if I said I was really excited, does that make you feel as though I'm excited? No. So why? So I'm giving you the science behind this. Go for it, son. Your name first as well? Japsimar.
Basically because you said it that it's exciting, but you're not showing it, so it's
I didn't show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so inside I'm like, I'm really excited to have to speak to you today. Do you see? But if I said to you, I'm really excited to speak to you today, does that make it sound a little bit better? Now, do you think you could practice that yourself? If people are coming up to you as a child or as a medium-sized adult, if they came up to you and said to you, you don't look very interested, I'm going to ask you as well. You don't look very interested. What could you do?
So when they go, it shows they're not confident, they're bored, either you're shy.
Yep.
So you keep your back straight, look them in the eye.
Yes.
Keep your tone normal.
Just keep it normal. Keep it firm. If you're excited, genuinely be excited. Does that make sense? So if I'm feeling uncomfortable and I've got to connect with some people, what if I wanted to smile a little? Would that be valuable? Yep. Did you know smiling is addictive? As soon as I smile for some reason, see, we get a smile back. Whichever way it is, it doesn't cost much, does it? So we had a gentleman over there. What's his name? Your name, please, as well. Gusharan.
Science behind it is being excited is because the blood pressure, the blood starts beating faster.
Your heart starts beating faster, the blood pressure increases, yes? Okay, that's a nice medical version of the same. Very, very clever. Very good. Amazing, amazing interaction, by the way. I'm really, really proud of being here today. Thank you very much for having me here. So in context, do you see this now? Tonality also has an element within it which is called tempo. Tempo is how slow or how fast you speak. And if you amend them and put them with the speed of your conversation and firmity of your body, you'd get 90, how much? If I added 55 and 38.
93.
I like that. Better than me, aren't you? 93% communication. Shall I tell you a funny story? Yeah? I have an office in Slovakia. Who's been to Slovakia? Anybody like that? You have? Oh, you have, of course. He's my son. So in Slovakia, I had a client of mine who became a team member, a member of my employment, and she stood there and she said to me, her name was Danka, and she said, she can't speak English. And guess what I said back to her? I can't speak Slovak. So we sat there, and for half an hour, we sat there having a long conversation. She was speaking to me in Slovak, and I was speaking to her in English. Do you know what the funny thing was? We were doing very well. We had a very good conversation, even though we couldn't speak each other's language. Isn't that interesting? Yeah? With me? Good. You've got to smile occasionally, yeah? You see, even got you to smile. So smiling doesn't cost much, does it? 3 muscles in fact. And you know when people sometimes they call themselves a bit lazy? Do you know frowning? Can everybody frown a second? Come on, put a frown on your face. Come on. Like this, a frown. Yes? Was that normal or was that really a frown? Try frowning. Do you know that uses 11 facial muscles? 11 facial muscles. Now, would you like to smile? Smile with me, come on. I know it's harder than Muchan Dari, but you've got to manage. You see, that's better. Did you know that only... No, I didn't get one back there. Noisy person there. Smile. Yes, got it. So you know a smile takes 3 muscles. So I count myself quite lazy. I do a lot of smiling instead of frowning. Frowning takes too much energy. Are you in? So today we've got to show your teeth like that. You've got to show me your teeth. You've got to smile. You keep smiling. Keep going. So I was speaking to Danka for half an hour. And we were having a really good conversation. My other staff member came up to me. His name is Roman. He said, Sukhi, I've got to stop you a second. Can you tell me what's going on? I said, what? He said, she's speaking Slovak. You're speaking English. She can't understand English. You can't understand Slovak. What's going on? what did she say to you? I said, well, she said that she's going to come over in January to England. She's got a daughter over here. She's got 2 children. Her daughter's got 2 children. She's expecting a third, and she's going to come here for a month in England, Hampshire specifically. Is it okay if she spends some time with me and comes and meets me at my home? And I said, yeah, it's no problem at all. And he said, how did you know that? I said, well, she was telling me. And then he went and asked her, and he said, what did Sukhi say to you? He goes, well, I told him that I'm coming in January, that I'm going to be with my daughter. She's got 2 children. A third one's coming, and I'll be there for a month. Can I come over and meet you? 2 in essence. Now, what went on there? Can you see? I communicated 93% with Dunker, even though I didn't speak her language. Okay, I could up that a little bit, because I did understand dobre, which means okay, or niet, which means no. So I had a little bit of yes and no, and she did as well. So we managed a little bit more than maybe 94%. But language itself is a choice of how you deliver it. Okay? So communication is split up into 3. Do we get this now? So can you remember, you've got, I think, a talk soon that you're going to be speaking at the Hemkud Trust, I think? Yes? Is that right, Uncle? So when you're standing there and you're speaking, do you think it's important to stand slightly squarer with your body? Yeah? The aim of the game is to put your feet, if you can't see them, level with your shoulders. You can do that, can't you? Yeah? And how's about if you lifted your chin up as opposed to down? Is that good? Would that be better if I conveyed a conversation like this, or would it be better if I, like this? Up. Yeah, up. Straight up, yeah? So what's happening to my physiology? Did you also know that when I look upwards, my back straightens, pushes outwards? I told you, stop looking at my stomach. The back comes out, yeah? So as it straightens up, the chest allows to breathe properly and your voice projects better. Does that make sense? And if you're basically talking, and let's say you've got some notes, if you're holding some notes, let's say, would it be good for you to do this? Any reason why? You can't see my face. And how important is seeing my face? 55%. How important is it? Everybody, did you get that? 55%. If I did this, I'm hiding behind this, you can't really hear my voice. And if I'm talking, I can hear myself very well.
The newspaper that talks.
Sorry?
The YouTube channel. The newspaper that talks.
They use paper that talks, yes? No, actually what they do is they do this. Just turning it like that. Do you know why? Because we were saying earlier on, you can see my eyes now. Now you can all hear me. You can all see me. Does that make sense? And did you also know this helps reflect your voice? If you've got to have a piece of paper. It's quite interesting, isn't it? See, now you can hear me better than that, isn't it? Or is that not the same? Is that just as loud?
No.
Is that louder?
Yeah.
Yeah? I've not changed anything. All I've done is change this. Does that make sense? And now secondly, if I just brought this down just a little bit more, do you think you'd see the top part of my body as well? So would that be better? Or worse? Better. So 55% is body language. So it's all there. Now the tonality. So if I then turned around and mumbled and didn't finish my words, I hope you're enjoying this little conversation. I'm going to sit there talking to you about the Collins Student World Atlas. Am I just reading to myself, really? Or am I sharing it to you? Reading to myself, right? It's not really that valuable. It's okay for me. All I'm doing is verbalizing so I can hear what I'm saying. But what if I turned around and said to yourself and stopped and finished the words? Would that be better?
Yes.
So when we're on stage, we speak stage language. Does that make sense? So when we talk with poise. Poise means? Come on, Yuvraj. A poise. A poise is like a pause. Yeah? So when we pause if need to be. So you don't rush. There's plenty of time to speak. You talk, and you talk slowly, unless you need to talk fast. Does that make sense? So it's a very nice, easy way of explaining this information to people. Is that helping a little bit? Do you think you're going to have a little bit of notes to write after this to project your voice properly? Yeah? Now language. Language is connected to knowledge. Does that make sense? So when we're saying language words, we share knowledge across to people. For example, I've just used language very clearly to explain to you there's 3 types of body language, 3 types of knowledge shared, communication. Is that fair? Yeah? So I'm making sure I have to simplify this a little bit because I've got younger people here in this room than the older ones. I had a bit more to talk about, but this is a bit more along the level of how you can communicate. So if we all stand up a second, do you mind? Can you all stand up? Is it okay? So if I asked you to just stand, if you don't mind, stand everybody and look at each other, pair up if you need to, look at each other as though you're not interested. Look as though you're not interested. Don't copy me. So do something that's going to change your body language. Well, holding bags and books as well is a pretty good I'm not interested as well. That's good. So if you're not interested, it's kind of like this, isn't it? Maybe on the floor, maybe fiddling with a pen, and you're trying to talk to the person in front of you. So now let's show how we can be a bit more interested, please. So pair it with somebody. How can you be a bit more interested? Well, smiling is a really good thing. So what if I paired with you? Right. So if I said to you, I'm listening to you now, does it look a bit better? Do you feel as though I'm listening to you? Do you think your arms crossed like this help you receiving information? Maybe not. So maybe I could just put my hands like this. I could listen differently. Hannah? So what are we gifted with in Sikhi? We kind of do this, right? Hanji? Both? Sorry? Yeah, you can. Let's not go into the physiology of thumbs for a moment, just to keep the language easy. But let's just say, for example, we just put our hands like this. Everybody try? Yeah, very simple. And just put it down and let your arms rest. Have you noticed your arms have a natural way of resting now? It doesn't feel too complicated, does it? It feels quite comfortable. And if you take your foot off one side, you'll look as though you're interested. So balance your weight. You need to stand up, son? Can you stand up? That's it. Stand up, stand up. Come away from your table. Come away from the table. That's it. Just put your hands like this. Everybody try it. Put your hands down and just let your shoulders rest. Now, square your body up so you're putting even weight in the middle as opposed to just on one side. You know, sometimes we stand down, we start putting our hips like that, just like that. Just like that. Just what I'm saying not to do. So level your weight off. Yeah? So if you level weight, everybody just look at your feet, just level your weight so your body looks level. And now you can actually have a very nice conversation with somebody. Does that make sense? So if I'm looking at you, now the second thing is if I look at you in the eyes, at least we've got a chance of communicating, Hannah? Does that work? Yeah, if I'm looking at you, look at me. I don't bite, especially not with my eyes anyway. Teeth maybe. Are we good? Okay, so can everybody at least remember these 3 clear things? Yes or no? Do you think that's going to help you talk in your speech? Do you think it's better to lean on the side again? Why? It does show, it genuinely does. It pushes you off center. Even your brain stops working off center, and you start thinking, I'm actually not interested anyway. It doesn't make a difference which side it is. You'll start moving around. So holding yourself straight, putting your hands like so. Try it again. It's actually a nice place to speak, isn't it? Fair? I think this is what we use this as a neutral pose when we're speaking on stages, just to let you know. I do train professional speakers, so I'm talking to you as a professional speaker. So that you guys are going to be. So you can take a seat again. How long do I have? Are we done? 5 minutes more, just to conclude. We'll cover a couple of things. Is that okay? Yeah? So we all good? It's very warm in here, isn't it? I am as well. God, you've got a coat on, you've got a jacket on.
Let me just close the blind for a second.
No, that's okay. We'll 5 minutes reh gaye, we're fine. We're fine. So now, who's learnt how to stand? Yuvraj. Hanji? Yes, and also not interested. So if I stand here, thank you very much, very good. Not confident. If I did this, if I matched this with, if I'm looking at you, then this can still be quite interesting and quite confident. But the moment I do this, which is bending my back, can you see, arch my back, and look downwards, what happens? Now I look as though I'm not confident. And the moment I lean on one side even more, it gets worse, does it not? Does it make you feel as though I'm really confident now? So what if I just turned around and just straightened up like this? That's a little bit more confident, is it not? Don't you say yes if you don't see it? And what if I just lifted my back up a bit? Does that feel okay? Even though my hand's in here. So when you got your hands in here in a confident position, do you know what that means? It means that I'm not interested. Or if you have one hand in, that's usually I'm thinking. So if you're thinking on stage, remember your hands are projecting this information. Come out here and just let your arms rest. You had a question, listen.
Like an explanation.
Go for it.
I'm going to say that sometimes you cannot feel confident because your nerves have taken over control of you.
Very good. So how important is confidence? Very. So now, if you're in the situation where you said, if I remember, your name is Simran? Jab Simran. Okay, Simran. So if we're talking about Jab Simran, how did he say that if we get in a situation, for your children over here, if you get in a situation where you're a bit maybe giggly, like you are now, or a bit shy, or a bit not confident, what could you do? Would you like a secret to get yourself back into confidence? Yes or no?
Yes. You could instead of you could act more bold by putting your back straight and then you can.
Very good. Straighten your back. Yes, absolutely. Yuvraj?
There was one thing when I was in primary school, they told me, if there's a big crowd and you're shy, pick a spot at a wall right there and look at that spot but keep your back straight.
Has he swallowed a body language book? This is really, really, really good. Do you understand that? Keep this knowledge up. It's very good. So tell us about the spot again.
I was going to speak in front of you doing this if it was not confident. But say if I'm shy and I don't want to look at any of you while you're looking at me, I pick a spot at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the end over there.
Okay.
And I'll stay there, but I'll keep my back straight and I'll keep projecting my voice forward.
Well done. That needs a bit of a hand applause, honestly. Very well done. That's actually the next stage. Very well done. So I'll ask you later how you learned all this stuff. I assume either somebody taught you or watched it on YouTube or something? Books?
I pick up things. I hear adults talking.
Ah, very good. So you may have somebody in your family who talks. Well, I'll give you some books and stuff to read so you'll actually get this. It's very, very good to learn this sort of stuff. So let me give you an example. If you're standing like this, let's say, for example, you're feeling uncomfortable, twitchy, a little bit nervous, maybe before an exam even, or maybe before you're about to go on stage. There'll be very, very simple things to remember. Remember, what's the most important part? Body language. So it's physiology, isn't it? Yeah? So what if I turned around and said to you that all you really need to do is to take wherever you are, whatever your nerves are like, whether you're concentrating or not concentrating. Let's say you want to concentrate today on something. What if I said to you, you could just stand there, if you just stood up, straightened your back up, and I'm not joking, looked up, looked level, and looked above your head, yeah? So you can all, while you're sitting, look level, and then look up. So pick something high up to look at. So it's got to be higher than your eye level. So slightly up, wherever it is. So look up. Yeah, can you all do that for a second? So no, up, 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 up. Up, up. That's it, right. So if you can all look up, now look at me again. So you look up and you take a deep breath. At the same time, you use Simran. So you'll either say Vaheguru, does that make sense? Or Ik Oankar, anything that you would like to share. If you repeat that when you're breathing in and let it back out, let it in 2 seconds maybe, or 3, and let it out twice as long. Can you try that with me? So shall we pick Vaheguru? Is that right? Yeah? So if you breathe in, when you're looking up, look up and go, now say Vaheguru. And just breathe out. Now if you need to repeat that 3 times with me, in fact you repeat it yourself, I'll look at you to make sure you're looking correctly. So breathe up, breathe in as high as you can, hold it for a second and say Vaheguru. And just let it come out twice the speed. Not fast, just twice the speed, your air. Try again. Vaheguru. And just let it come down. If you do that 3 times, do you know what happens? Your body calms down immediately. Yes?
Also, scientifically, as researched it.
Hanji?
I researched it before, so when you do that, your lungs, they start to cool down. So when
Okay, yes, lungs cool down.
When they breathe in and breathe out, they feel more relaxed, so the tension inside you goes away.
That's right. So now you cool down, that's one. The other one is that our primary interest is oxygen. and you get more oxygen in your system. And then when you connect up with Waheguru Simran, that means your heart and your brain, your heart are aligning with each other. So when you've calmed down, you can just go and release again. If you do this as often as you want, I do it through the day, all the time. All the time. So even if I came on the stage here, it wasn't about nerves, it was about anchoring myself, meaning getting myself into the strength and getting me connected to where I want to be. Does that make sense? So if you said something like that to yourself 2, maybe 3 times, and then stand on the stage. So when you're ready for your Hemkut Sahib, you can clearly project yourself. Now the next thing obviously is to learn about vocals, but we'll talk about that another time. Is that okay? Yeah. Do you have any questions?
One more thing. What if I do what if I do, let's say, if I'm singing a song in front of everybody else, I can show confidence by following the tune of my song.
Spot on. So if it's song or kirtan, whichever way you look at it, because kirtan is not singing, kirtan is kirna. So basically it's like ploughing your tan. So it's very, very different. It's basic. Kirtan is when you connect your soul into what you're saying. So if you're singing, let's say you're singing a song, let's say whichever song it is, like a public song or a regular song, when we sing, you can follow the tone and the tune. So if you keep your eye and ear, listen to where the tones are going and breathe in and out in accordance with it, it'll calm you down as well. Does that make sense? But when we get to kirtan, kirtan is a very different thing. Kirtan is when you connect with Waheguru. That's when you connect. And when you do kirtan, usually you do it in the Hazri of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Is that correct? Yeah. And that means that our Guruji is sitting there waiting to listen to us. And it's only you and them. Did you know that? Yeah. It's not the audience. The people sitting there, the Sangat sitting there, they should be also juring to Maharaj. Does that make sense? Yes? So we're just talking between them and us, not between anybody else. So when you're sitting there, just kirtan karde, you will sing your kirtan, you will bring your heart into it, and you're sharing it just to Maharaj, just so they can hear you. Does that make sense? And in occasions, let's say if they're not with you, let's say Maharaj is not hazar there. Hazar means? Present, yeah? If they're not hazar there, then they're hazar within you. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Yeah. Anju, you had a question over here.
Yeah, I have a question. So say for example, if you're communicating with someone and you're being sarcastic to them,
Anji?
How would you use tonality?
Oh, when you're being sarcastic. Interesting. Usually children are the best sarcastic individuals around. So you're probably going to teach me. Anji? Well, I won't say watch Friends. That's not really a good thing for your age group, but there we are. But how it works is, if you want to be sarcastic, usually sarcasm, or should I say comedy. You know comedy? Sarcasm? Well, actually, sarcasm is a bit different. Sarcasm has an element of rudeness into it, so it's a bit abrupt. It's not for anybody's value. That's what sarcastic means, yeah? So when you're being sarcastic with somebody, you're going to make them feel not so happy. Does that make sense? Is that really what our function is? No, actually, when somebody else makes you feel like that, what do you do? You should say, oh, thank you. Have you ever tried that? Yeah. If somebody's making jokes about you or talking about you or saying something funny, and say, oh, thank you. What if you said, thank you, and said, you've made my day? Do you think that's going to help them? Well, they can't be sarcastic anymore. Do you know what they'll do to you? They'll say, oh, that didn't work. Ironically, if you do this 2 or 3 times, I've helped children a lot in bullying environments. If somebody bullies you, just say, thank you. You say, again, thank you, and walk away. After a period of time, it just drops. It's 3 times. If you say it 3 times, then guess what happens? They just stop bullying you. They want the other reaction. They want somebody to feel uncomfortable and frightened. Does that make sense? But we've got Waheguru in us, have we not? So you can take what? A deep breath and say? Waheguru 3 times. And then guess what? You can say, thank you. Thank you for being so nice. And they'll just walk away. Because the only thing that Guruji teaches us, we cannot find, this is what I'm going to end with if it's okay, we cannot find Guruji unless we have love in our heart. Does that make sense? If we have love in our heart, if we're in love, that means in the kindness of ourselves, only then can Guruji pargat through us. Does that make sense? So if somebody's being horrible to you and sarcastic, you would just basically say thank you. Thank you very much. I look forward to the next time. And they will just walk away. Try it. Okay? So I hope that's been helpful to you. I hope that's been helpful to yourself in some way. Just so we can talk. And if there's any questions, please fire away.
I've got a quick question. Firstly,
Hanji.
thank you for sharing the two techniques. One is the reset button when you can look up.
Hanji.
The other technique of neutralizing a situation
Ji.
when people are being difficult with you.
Yes.
So I hope everybody takes that away. My question is this. You've talked about body language. Your body language is important because you have an audience. Can you talk about the body language, the importance of the body language to the speaker?
Towards the speaker?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
If that's not
Do you
there-
get that? So what if the body language is not good at your end here? Let's say if I'm talking. Yuvraj, go for it.
So like, if you were talking,
Bit louder?
if you were talking and if you looked away and if a singer's singing but
Hanji.
the crowd is looking away, then the singer doesn't become confident. He loses his confidence and he'll stop halfway in between. And some singers just tend to leave the stage if no one's gonna look.
Very well
They
done.
get angry, so if you're looking at him.
Hmm.
If people cheer or something like that, then he'll continue or she. If everyone's looking the other way,
Super.
ignoring.
Right? So now, if you are not looking at me and communicating with myself, I will lose my interest as well. So when I was younger, when I was about, well, maybe even younger than some. Who's youngest in this room? How old are you? 12? 11? Anybody younger than 11? 10-year-old? Great. Actually, when I was 8 years old, my dadji, my papaji, they told me something specific. They said, son, if you put your hands out like this, put your hands out, everybody. Yeah? And clap. Can you all clap? Do it again. Good. Now, if I ask you to take one hand, whichever hand you want, put it behind your back. Now clap again in the same way. Are you making any noise? No. What if I swapped it over? Gave you the other hand. Did you make any more noise? No. In order to make noise, we need what? Two hands. So in order to make any connection with people, we need two people. If I want to be interested with you, you have to be interested with me. Does that make sense? So you have to listen and look at me. You have to understand possibly. And the most important thing is that what I learned when I was young is the more questions I asked, the better I got in understanding things. Does that make sense? So if you nod your head, when I say, can you nod your head? Or are you listening? And you say, oh, I listen to you now. Yeah, and you make eye contact with me. It makes sense, isn't it? See, just like that. It was very, very nice, the way you just adjusted yourself. Is that nice? Does it feel better as well? Now you're listening to me. Does that make sense? So we can't clap with one hand, and so we cannot deliver a speech with one hand. You might be absolutely brilliant. So when you're on the other side of the speech, is it your responsibility to give support to me as well? Yes or no? Yeah. So when you're at the Hemkud environment, when you're over here, when you're speaking, is it good practice to be present with the people who are speaking as well? Could it be that if you listened to them, you might actually learn something from them as well? Is that right? Does that answer the question a little bit? There's an easier way to explain
it.
it.
It's the responsibility of the audience to participate.
100%. Hanji, we have a question?
You know when they say that you go on TED and talk about it, 'cause I watch TED from TED,
Mm-hmm.
and you talk about communication.
Hanji?
Talk about anything else other than communication.
Yes, I talk about how to get laser focus, how to bring your focus in your brain, how to concentrate better, how to get things done quicker. Does that make sense? So if you want to search and want to learn a little bit more about this, I had a full day training just on Friday for this. Would you like to search my name, Sukhi? Just write Sukhi and put TED next to it on Google. It'll come up on there straight away. Or alternatively, we can share Sukhi Wahiwala, the website, and share it. And you can watch the TED talk. It's 20 minutes. And you can listen, and I'll share my actual real life story as well. And then at the end, I'll give you 7 steps to follow to bring yourself into immediate action. Yeah, immediate focus. Would that be helpful? When you're drifting away thinking of different things when you're supposed to be revising. How's about when you're in the test and you're thinking about different things, or in an exam? Yeah? It'd be good just to follow a few questions, wouldn't it? So it's 7 easy steps. You could follow that, couldn't you? Yeah. So when you've done that, would you feed back to the seniors here? And let them all know that you've done something and said, I've learned something today? Yeah? Thank you.
For the next week. We'll all ask for feedback next week.
I hope that's been valuable to you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
and for me, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you very much.